Hi guys. All right, we're gonna do a video for you so we can kind of discuss church protocol. Obviously, after we send it, if you guys have messages or questions, send them to us individually, so maybe it doesn't bombard the group chat. And then, of course, if there's anything really important to the whole group, then we will go ahead and discuss as a team. So, obviously, this is Kevin.
Hi, yes.
I'm Sabrina.
Kevin. Yeah. So, real quick over the security team structure. First off, thank you for who was able to make it out for the shooting. We definitely need to do a lot more shooting so we can get you guys prepared to qualify to be able to have a firearm. But I'm pretty comfortable with a couple of people having them. We won't say out loud for yet who it will be, but we're gonna create badges. The badge colors will be different from other security personnel. Red will have firearm. Blue will not have firearm. And it's okay and important for us to not have some members with firearms because they'll be the ones who will help the escorting of our pastors and also the congregation into the safety area where we're going to designate if there is in fact a bomb threat. If there's an active shooter, our church isn't very big as it already is. It's just a solid room, so we'll have to go over the whole safety protocol with that when we train for an active shooter in the building. We went ahead and we purchased new radios for the team. Team leaders, Jennifer and Fernando will have one. Pastor Erica will have one. I will have one. Anthony and Akila, so forth. Our security team, all of our security team members will have one.
Jessica, me.
Yeah. Anyways, these are the radios we purchased. They work really well. They go through cement. They have a 2-mile radius. Attached to them right now, attached to this one is an earpiece that comes with them. They're not the best earpieces. That's why I sent out on a text group for the Bluetooth one. This is just a temporary, as you can hear. The mic is kind of loose in there, but it will work for the meantime until you're able to purchase one. You don't have to get that Bluetooth one. There is another one. I don't believe. No, where she said it at. Where'd you send it at?
That's fine. Keep going.
Either way, there's a cheaper one than the Bluetooth one that's like this that will have your mic and your earpiece and then the talk button. This is just pretty much easy peasy, just a talk button and your earpiece.
So Friday we will get there a little bit early. So we bring. He got them all charged.
Yes.
We'll hand them out to all the leaders who are going to have one, and then he'll make sure that they're already on the station that they need to be on.
They are channel correct right now. I had already did that. Yes.
Correct the channel. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then that way it'll be as easy as just learning which button to press.
Yeah, and also if you guys review this before Friday, if we could meet before service so that way we can go over seating discussion or seating.
Well, we're going to discuss it right now.
Well, yeah, we can, but seating locations as far as where we want people stationed in case, so that way we're prepared for any kind of situation that may arise in the heat of the moment. We'll be able to react. We also got a IVAC bag. It's not a full personal, or it's like a personal medical bag for home, but it would be suitable for any situation that we may arise in. If a children cuts their leg open, if there's a diabetic who needs glucose, there's a glucose shot in here for them. Not a shot, but like a juice pouch type thing. There's wraps, there's scissors, there's tweezers, band-aids, pretty much anything you would need for a basic medical emergency. I carry a personal IVAC bag that will be for if we get into an active shooter situation and someone's wounded. I will have tourniquets. I also carry Narcan in that bag. I have a lot more things in my bag, though it's smaller. That's for more of a trauma kit for larger wounds.
Well, this one's going to be bright red. It'll stay at the church, so just so everybody.
Medic sign on it.
We'll find an assigned place to put it.
I don't know why they decided. Sorry, Pastor, but they put a little serpent thing on there. But we can cover it, put a sticker, put New Hope Revival on it, you know. But that's, you know, and then during the training for active shooter, we'll go over wound dressing, we'll go over how to, you know, properly handle somebody who needs CPR. I have a connection with a firefighter at Zion City, and I'll see if he's willing to do a CPR class for you guys. We're gonna just get you certified in every area that we could possibly get you certified in, so that way we are covering our bases, you know, for you legal wise in case of anything that may arise.
Yeah. So we do want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about some of the different structures that we'd like to create. Obviously, we definitely need somebody assigned to the front entrance. Certain people that we know are all on the team that are just kind of in the sanctuary, kind of sitting throughout. We don't want to make everybody sit somewhere they're not normally at.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure we kind of have the full room covered, which has kind of happened platonically, but you know, we want to make sure we kind of just say it out loud.
Yeah, and we don't want you to think that the area that we, you know, ask you to sit at is your permanent seat. We're gonna want to float around so we all get a feel for, you know, what we're looking for in each location, because we don't want one person to be designated to that area. They're sick, then we put someone there and they're not aware of the area and all the nooks and crannies to look at, right? So we want everyone to have the same view that everyone else is having, you know, when it comes to the location of sitting and the location for protection.
Yeah. So if we consider and the different sides of the room, so there's obviously like the northeast side of the room, which is where the back storage room is at, and kind of where Scott would be playing the drums. That's kind of the top northeast corner. Normally Mickey and Fernando are kind of in that section, and Jennifer. So I would say that would be one section we want you guys to definitely be assigned to and kind of stay within that area. Then there's the southeast corner, which is the side door, which sometimes is unlocked, sometimes it's not. We will get more instruction from Pastor to see if that, I don't know what the rule has been, if it's supposed to be unlocked or locked or not. But that corner Kevin wants to be assigned to so he can kind of get a full view, and because of the glass, which is really important. And then going to the northwest corner, which is close to where the check-in and the check-out is for children.
The restroom, yeah.
So normally Anthony and Jessica are kind of in that section. We would like you to stay and
Jessica and Anthony usually sit at the couches, so we'll, again, if we can meet early, then we can go over seating arrangements. It would be perfect.
Yeah, but during check-in for sure, we know Anthony and probably myself being closer to the door, where the kids are checking in, checking out, so we don't have any children going missing.
Yeah.
And then Roy, obviously we would like you kind of in the center of the room, maybe the back row, as long as you're okay with that, but you would kind of be centered back, kind of right in front of where the camera is that's recording Pastor. And then the southwest corner would just, you know, kind of Kevin's going to rotate kind of that section there.
So pretty much the center row, you know, Scott is sitting working the tech area with his son, and he is authorized to carry. So we want to push Roy technically to the center of the room, you know, closest to the pastor as possible. We want to be able to initiate contact before contact initiates pastor, if that makes sense. So with that back door where the kids exit, you know, to the children's area, and then the actual toddler area is right there, we need someone stationed at that door too, so periodically we can go out, walk the parking lots, make sure everything is secured, then come back in. It's not that you have to hang out there the whole time, but we would like to go out and just make sure we don't have, you know, any homeless people that have entered the area that are just hanging out. You know, we don't want our children exposed if they're defecating. We don't want them exposed to that, so we got to be able to address those situations. So, you know, we'll get more into that, more depth. You know, right now we're just getting a feel for it, so that way we can understand what we got to do.
Okay. The other thing we want to do, Kevin is going to start escorting Akila out and all the children to the children's area, which is outside.
Yeah. behind the barbershop. Yeah.
Yeah, so that we can start really making sure that she is just safe. Do you want to go over next?
Children's protocol, secure check-in, check-out. Okay, so that's a big thing, right? So if they don't have their ticket, they cannot pick their kid up. Again, we know it's their child, but if they do not have the pickup ticket, they cannot pick the child up. And this is just something that we would like to implement because, you know, say an estranged parent comes in that doesn't have custody of this child. The child's like, yeah, that's my dad. We let him go with that person, and then the other parent's like, oh my God, my child, you shouldn't have let him do that. It's just for that reason, right? We want to make sure our children and our youth are safe. They are our future, and we need to let them know that they are secure. Okay. We'll get into emergency lockdown procedures, later on down the road once we start venturing off into training, live training in the church, you know. So again, we're going to go with the pastor's protection. We're not just protecting the pastor, but we have to make sure that his family is secure as well. If in the event we have an active shooter come in, the pastor, his wife, and his children are to be escorted to their safety vehicle and removed off the property. We will do the same with Pastor Eddie and Chanel. But we'll get, again, that's part of the whole emergency issue training that we'll go over. So we're in the works of trying to find some security surveillance cameras for the building. To that event, we won't have to have people exit the building to walk the parking lot. At the tech table with Scott, we would set up a monitor to have all the cameras on that screen, so it can be monitored by one individual, which most likely would be Scott. But we'll get more into that once we are able to find a good enough surveillance system to watch the building outside and indoors, and also in the children's area that Akila will be in. Maintaining visible parking lot presence. So our presence is enough to deter any kind of action from any kind of homeless person or any person who has any kind of ill will attention. Just being in the area of that person and standing, presently alert, it's enough to let them know, and they'll see your badge, let them know, this is not a good idea for me to try to act up, because security will react, right? And so, again, we'll get into more of that when we do the active shooter protocol and training at the campus. We'll have to see if Pastor Caleb can get us some keys, or maybe talk to Celia so we can get in there and we can practice. It would be pretty much at least 3-4 hour training, because we want to get you guys prepared and and alert and aware for any kind of situation that may happen, whether it's a sword, knife, because it's Tucson, they do that for may the force be with you or something, so a lot of people carry swords and stuff like that. It's weird downtown, and then when we have the street fairs, there's a lot of people walking around drinking, and we're not too close, we're not too far from bars, so that's another thing we'll have to be aware of as well. Scroll down. So bomb threat protocol is going to go with the whole, if it's possible type thing, if it's happening, we're going to escort everyone to our northwest parking lot. Mm-hmm. We're going to make sure that we get some adequate lights put up out there, so that way, when we escort everyone out there, if it's at night, or even on a Sunday during the day, there'll be plenty of light, but that'll be where we want everyone to be at in case there is a bomb, and we're safe enough because we'll be pinned between two buildings, and it will protect from any kind of blast radius or shrapnel that could attack us, in the case of a detonation.
Yeah, the other thing that I think would be important is that parking lot, even if it's an active shooter, if there's any way for people to exit through the front door, which is where the children's door is at, our protocol and what we're hoping to implement, it would be for everybody to go out there and not run to the street and not go just run to their cars. Everybody run to that
Parking lot,
northwest
yes.
parking lot, because again, the same thing, that gate does actually close, which I think is what Kevin had looked at. And so if we get enough, we can get everybody to run that direction into that parking lot, close the gate, and at least then at that point the people with firearms could in fact stand guard if someone comes around the corner, and everybody else would be safe behind the brick.
And that's very important too, because the way that the parking is, some people park in that alleyway, and that would actually give us cover to protect those who are hidden in that parking lot if there are multiple shooters where we have to engage. This is just hypotheticals, but hypotheticals can turn real and get you in your clavicles. You know what I mean? just saying, you don't want a hypothetical on your clavicle. Just saying, so this is why we practice. Just gotta throw some humor in there,
So everybody
Pastor does it.
who's not asleep, if you're already asleep,
that should wake you up.
He's trying to wake you up. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So emergency communication, right? So we're gonna talk about the use of the radios, right? We will implement some codes, as far as, if we have a bomb threat, we'll throw a code for that. Active shooter or possible active shooter, if we notice anything with somebody acting weird, or, we think that they may be armed, we'll have a code for that, and then we'll get into the whole, what are we going to allow into our church? Are we going to be okay with some of our congregation carrying? Because that can become a problem for us. When we go to address an active shooter, they're going to stand up and they're going to want to fire. But if they don't have the proper training, they're going to hurt somebody,
Yeah, and I think one of the things, as we're just starting, will be really important to say is we haven't had these elongated conversations, obviously, with Pastor Caleb and Erica yet. And so he's given us some permission or Kevin permission to really make some of these decisions. Then, he may give us different directive, right? So we're open to that directive and that leading from the Holy Spirit on how that will work. But right now we're implementing some of the basics so that we can.
And then, ultimately, we definitely don't want anybody carrying knives. We just don't, even if we know them, they're good people. We know they have good intentions,
Where you can
everyone has a bad day, If you want to carry a knife, okay, put it in your pocket, not on the side of your leg inside the church. It's just not, it's not something that we want new beginners to see, because they're going to think it's okay for them to carry knives, and we just want to just try to nip that in the bud, but being very cautious in a loving manner, we don't want to offend anyone. So,
one of the other trainings you're going to do, let's discuss that one.
Which one would you like to discuss?
So I think, aside from CPR training, which you obviously have to go, and first aid, you have to go to a qualified person to get like a CPR certification, and those cost money. But Kevin does have some training in de-escalation, so we may have one of those trainings in the next couple
we will, and just be prepared, because it's not a short class by any means. It's going to be at least a good 6-hour class of training. I do have, she laughs, but it is, it's 6 hours worth of training, because you don't want to get into confrontation with someone and not know how to de-escalate. But also, you want to put your most friendliest giant. Let's just admit it, like our team at, New Hope Revival, we're big guys, we step in a room and our presence is known, so we don't want them to feel pressure. Like, I don't know if any of you are aware of the situation with Gabriel, and the gentleman, how he said he wanted to stab him, but we have to be aware of the body surrounding that person like that makes them more anxious. It makes them more volatile, because they feel like they have to react to protect themselves, right? So we have to be careful. Like, we don't want to just put all bodies on a person, and also doesn't speak good volume for us as far as, de-escalation goes, because it could turn into something violent. Then everyone's in the mix and reacting, and it just looks like a street brawl, right? We don't want any of that. So again, like, we'll go more in depth with stuff like that with de-escalating training for sure.
Yeah, the other thing would be more firearm training. Obviously, we did
Yes.
have a really nice class on Tuesday.
We're thinking
Um,
monthly.
Yeah, or before the tent revival, we may do a couple in April if we can
Yes.
squeeze them in and
Yeah.
people have time, so that they can get more comfortable with firearms. I know one thing that I guess Kevin wasn't. I don't know if he wanted to list, and maybe we won't for the purpose of this video, but. We do have 5 people in the church that are active carrying, so that is at least for now.
Some will soon be carrying. Yes.
Yeah, and then the couple that do decide to go ahead and move forward and also get firearms, and then at that point that should put us at least 8, which would be fairly sufficient
Would be
for
more
this.
than enough. Yes.
Yeah, for the size of building that we have and being able to cover all grounds
Yeah, and it's better.
within the building.
Yeah, it's better that we have 8 people on our team that is actively carrying, because our room, there is no protection for us if there is an active shooter. We are in a solid open room. Even the children behind us, behind Scott, the toddlers, it's sheetrock. It's not brick. It's not cement. It's a very dangerous situation if it arises. The only safe area is the youth that Akila takes over. She's in between 2 brick walls, and she has a way to protect the kids in a hallway. But for us, the scenario is pretty much fish in a bowl tank.
And Holy Spirit fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely. God is, we don't walk in fear. We're not preparing you to feel fear. We're just preparing you to be able to battle with the right tools under godly principles.
Yep. Anything else?
I just like to say thank you very much, for allowing us to step into this position.